And good morning. You are tuned right here to KLYC 1260 AM. This is To the Root of It, your weekly Yamhill.
Hey.
What? No, it's a good day to garden, right?
Well, no, you should be all done.
You're right.
This is a time when you're supposed to be eating your garden.
And happy Thanksgiving. Did you enjoy yours?
Oh, we had an absolutely lovely Thanksgiving. The grandkids came over. We played chicken foot dominoes and
You were mentioning chicken foot dominoes.
and gorged ourselves mercilessly.
Yeah,
It was a 2 glasses of baking soda at 2:00 in the morning
incredible.
meal. Incredible.
Oh, and we should mention that we are actually on a half an hour earlier today because there is a Linfield football game.
Yes, they are playing Mary Hardin Baylor.
Right, and that's in Benton, Texas.
Benton, Texas, and they will be the pregame show starts at 9:30. So we will just mysteriously disappear off the face of the earth at 9:30 and 20 seconds or so.
Right, exactly, because we got to send things down there because they're in a playoff. So, good luck to them, and that's why we are on a half an hour early today. And the things we're going to talk about today, we've got
Well, we've got
calendars.
weather.
We've got weather.
Yeah, it's going to come up and snap us right on the behind here in a minute.
Well, I felt it not only Thanksgiving because I was in Portland and they were experiencing some wind down there that I wasn't anticipating.
No, and what's going to come out of the gorge and get them this afternoon is going to be really cold.
Yeah.
Really, really cold, and like 35, 45 mile an hour winds.
I know,
Ooh,
and
ick.
we were right by a park, and they've got the big old tall trees that were just blowing their branches downwardly. And I get a little bit paranoid because I've got a lot of trees on our property, and I've seen what wind does to them, and they just seem to fall down, and big tall heavy branches fall down. So I always get a little leery around big tall trees and wind.
Well, this is a easy pruning.
It's self pruning, and that's a really
Yeah.
good point because I had gone down there, and my friends, all of their leaves were gone. I don't have that problem yet. I still have leaves hanging on to the trees, but down there it was like within a week,
On the willow?
all gone. Yeah, the willow's still there. Sure, it's only about a fourth gone.
Oh, for crying out loud! I would have thought that sucker would spit them
I
leaves
would
off.
have too, especially since I have a constant breeze coming through.
I'll
And
be darned.
nope. So I've got leaves, but down there, all the leaves are on the ground. And like I said, we were right near a park, so park covered with leaves. And all I wanted to do was get my leaf blower out. I should have brought it and just go to town because I haven't had a reason to do it yet. Because like I said, my leaves haven't fallen yet. But to have these toys go unused, it's hurting me.
Oh, my next door neighbors have already gone south for the winter,
Oh,
and I'm going to have to go over and clean their section of lawn because my little four-legged weather indicator is getting nervous about the fact that there's leaves on her grass. So,
well, maybe you could take leaves off of her.
oh no, she runs over to the edge of their
Right.
driveway and stands there and looks at it and then looks over her shoulder back at me like, excuse me, but there's clutter on my grass. And then
Yeah.
pretty soon she very gingerly tiptoes out about 3 feet, takes care of business, spins on her hind legs, and leaps back to the driveway.
Yeah, you need
So she doesn't have to walk on the wet leaves.
need more
What a puss.
You need more dogs in the area because what I found is we had multiple dogs in our Thanksgiving party, and as soon as one dog feels the need to go,
Yeah.
then all of them have to go in that exact same spot.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So you get one to go there, then
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
goes.
yeah.
So you need somebody to mark those leaves, and then Lolly just suddenly,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
I can go there.
I think she'd just stand there and watch him go. She's not an outdoor dog.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
speaking of this weather that we have
Oh,
going
it's-
on, and you can see the temperature starting to decrease with
Yeah, it's going
the
down.
less sun that we have, and that's to be expected. But more than that, the rain is constant now.
Well, it's gonna taper off for today and a little bit of tomorrow,
Yeah.
but yeah, sort of. Well, it is almost December,
Yeah.
and so it's not unusual for ick to go on, if we can get 12 hours without rain,
Right.
long enough to give my sump pump time to breathe.
We'll see. For instance, tomorrow. Today we've got a chance of rain and 44 as
Yeah.
a high.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, clear is expected here and a high of 40. But then
Look at the nighttime one, though.
29. You're right.
Yeah.
That's a real, isn't it?
Yeah.
The lows, people, that we're going to be expecting here at the nights, we're dipping below freezing. So tonight we're looking at a low of 28, tomorrow
Yep.
29, and then we
Yeah.
creep back up above freezing for the week.
And what else goes with 28 and 29?
We're going to be freezing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if we've had this rain on the ground and and in the trees.
Black ice, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so something to be aware of is
Yeah.
not just the rain
Yeah,
and the
black
temperatures
ice in the
dropping.
shady spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we doing to prepare? We get my friend. Actually, I told her before our last frost spell that she needed to take her fuchsias and bring them in, and I was down there this week, and she had brought them back out apparently because they looked beautiful and they were still
Oh,
blooming.
that's fine. Yeah, they will.
And so if you did, free your house plants out when we had this brief spell, you got to bring them back in now.
Yeah, this morning it'd be a good time to do that.
That's right.
Yeah, do that around lunchtime.
Yeah, so when you say that there's no gardening to be done, there is preparation to be done for a frost.
There's maintenance that needs to
Mhm.
be done,
Yeah.
and we'll discuss a bunch of that here in a little bit.
Right.
If you have any questions, you can give us a call at 503-435-1260. We'll be taking calls right up, or we'll be available to take calls right up until 9:15.
Yes.
And then we'll have to hang up the lines because electronics must be connected to BF, Texas, or
You know
wherever.
where Texas is.
Yeah, someplace in Texas.
So we've got phone calls that we can answer, and
Got a couple of questions too.
You did get some questions
I
this
did.
week. Good.
Yep,
So one of the
yep.
questions that we get though, Rufus. So what's going on with the predictions that we've got coming in?
Well,
from-
Rufus says,
and Rufus is avaavailable at ovs.com.
Yes,
that
we have to say that
is
too.
a local amateur meteorologist, but he's got the knowledge.
Sheer freaking genius is
So
what he is.
So his
But
predictions for the upcoming.
cold snap,
Oh,
and by cold snap he means like it's just gonna all of a sudden be cold.
okay.
And with high winds, the Arctic push is going to sneak down into the eastern part of the state and blow down through the gorge and just freeze our little tuckuses.
Oh gosh.
Tuckus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said, oh gosh.
Oh. Yeah, it's going to get colder than a well digger's.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we won't go there either. That was one my daddy said. It used to always tick off my mom.
Yeah. So we've got a cold spell coming.
Yeah, it's coming, and it's coming today, this afternoon, this evening. Going to be windy. It's not going to stick around very long, but it's the warmer system should be into the from the southwest will come up by Monday. So it's just going to be an icky weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've gone and done all your Black Friday self-abuse.
Did you get out there for any of that? Did you do? Yeah, just
I had to
briefly.
go pick up a prescription.
Yeah.
And I was so thankful that my loving spousette had already Christmas shopped on Amazon.
Yeah.
I suddenly did not mind the stack of boxes in the spare bedroom.
Right.
It was like, oh, bless your heart, honey.
Yeah. I mean, we were coming back from Portland. We were like, okay, well, we're not doing any of that. And then
no,
suddenly we did some of that because it was like, okay, gosh, you got to be patriotic and support the economy. And if you don't, you're not American. So we found
Yeah.
ourselves in one of those shops and overspending because you get 40% off of children's clothing.
Yeah.
You got to stock up on that. You
Well,
get
some things, yeah.
so few opportunities for sales like that. So yeah, we had to take advantage of that. But I was online, all night and just looking for any deals, and there were none to be had. Really, truly, not like last year. So that's actually why I didn't go out into the shopping malls, is because I was looking online. It's like there's nothing available this year. So I'm going to hold on to my money.
We've learned our lesson about the good deals are actually the week right after Halloween.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yes, and that's true. And we've actually kept the ads and compared them. This a couple of years ago when we finally made our decision that do our Christmas shopping right after Halloween and then just go out to dinner on Black Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have such limited stock of the things that they claim to have. There was only one thing that I wanted to get, and they had it in the flyer and leading up to it for a week, and I was ready to get it. And as soon as it hit midnight and it was going on sale online, it was out of stock. And it was just not out of stock online. It wasn't available in the stores. It wasn't available anywhere. It's just suddenly nothing. And so I'm going to have to call out Toys R Us on this because I was kind of livid about that. So I've got to send an angry email.
You can't go shake your finger at them because they very explicitly say limited. To stock on hand. So them $29.
So what was great about the ad?
iPod readers are gone.
The ad was available, and Toys R Us actually has the ability to search stock in the stores. So even the day before everything was supposed to go on, nothing in stock in any of the stores in Oregon or Washington.
Nope.
So it was like, what kind of a sale is that where nothing is available?
In their eyes, very successful.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang good one, folks.
Yeah, so I stuck away from most of the Black Friday.
Cleaned out the barn.
I have no anticipation for Cyber Monday, and so I'm sorry, kids. We're not getting anything for the holidays.
Yeah, you're getting socks from New to You.
Socks are always on sale.
Socks are always on sale.
So why don't we take a break real quick, and when we come back, we will start talking about calendars.
Yep.
We might even get into some hydroponics, and you've got some questions that we definitely need to get to.
Yeah, I got one right up here.
In the head, he says.
Yep. That was sent in.
So for right now, you're listening to The Root of It right here on KLYC 1260 AM.
In your vineyard, Ecology's compost, which is certified for organic growing, can enhance overall soil quality, provide plants with nutrients they need to grow larger and healthier, minimize the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides, increase your soil's ability to hold moisture and retain nutrients, feed helpful earthworms, create a buffer for your plants against common toxins in the soil, and control your soil. Northwest Greenlands of Recology Company in McMinnville at 2200 Northeast Orchard Avenue. Call Recology Northwest Greenlands at 503-434-1671. 503-434-1671. Recology Northwest Greenlands, a proud sponsor of To the Root of It on KLYC. If you're looking for a place for great food, healthy food, great prices, and great people to take care of you, Norm and I had one of their Shelton Farm turkeys over Thanksgiving holiday, and it was the best turkey I've ever had. So let's take a look at Harvest Fresh ad right now. They have large lemons, 2 for $1. Stem and leaf satsumas for $2.29 a pound. Brussels sprouts, those are good for you, $2.59 a pound. Jumbo Baker potatoes. You know, a big-sized potato? There you go. 3 pounds for 99 cents. Bunch asparagus, $2.49 a pound. Fresh-made sausage links, $6.99 a pound. Other items in the meat category, flat iron steaks, $9.99 a pound. These are antibiotic-free and hormone-free. Good for you. Sockeye salmon, $10.99 a pound. In the organic section, Italian green kale, 2 for $5. Ambrosia apples, 3-pound bag, $5.99 each. Number 5, 5-pound russet potatoes, $3.49 each. And clementines, the holiday favorite, $3.49 a pound. It's Harvest Fresh. Check them out online at harvestfresh.com, 251 Northeast 3rd Street in McMinnville. And these prices are good through December 2nd. 503-472-5740, 472-5740. It's Harvest Fresh. downtown McMinnville. Tell them you heard about it on AM 1260 KLYC.
And we are back. You are tuned right here to the root of it on KLYC 1260. I'm going to mute your mic just a little while. Bray is over there smacking his lips because he has gone ahead and brought in a little bit of breakfast. Maybe we could talk about... Are you done smacking lips over there? Okay, he's done. I can't help it either because I was doing the same thing. But all you've got to do is start talking. Ray, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good enough. Yeah, this was a thing to do with leftovers besides the turkey tortillas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking for other ways to use up stuff.
Mm-hmm. And this all stemmed from last week. We were going to talk about recipes and things, and we got a little overboard and didn't get a chance to talk about it. But there were some things that had caught our eye, and this is a good concoction because what I'm looking at is basically a biscuit. But
Yeah, it's a little breakfast roll thing. It has cranberry sauce, homemade cranberry sauce, and of course scrambled eggs and Monterey Jack cheese in one of those roll-up things, and then you just you can freeze them or you can pop them in a microwave or whatever.
And what it tastes like is it's stuffing.
Yeah,
it's
it tastes
a
like
rolled up stuffing. It tastes like Thanksgiving. Is really what that's what I said when I first tasted, because it's stuffing in this. It's really what you do is you get those Pillsbury pre-made biscuits with in the tube, and you can do anything with that dough.
Oh, this is Pepperidge Farms flaky stuff.
Yeah. And
It
so
really
you
lasts
stuff
good.
you take the pastry dough and you just stuff it with that and everything.
Yeah,
and what you did is you took the leftovers and you stuffed them in there, and it's awesome.
Yeah, roll them up, bake them for 15 minutes, and then you can put them in the freezer and just nuke them later or whatever. Actually, there was a lot more to start with, but the wife came home and the house smelled like breakfast rolls.
You get hungry.
And 3 of them disappeared before I could even...
No, you really can't fit them in. They are almost a bite full. They're a big
big bite.
A healthy person's bite full.
Yeah. They're about 2-3 bites each.
Yep.
And they last as long as they're frozen.
And last week I sent you a recipe, which we were just stuffing pastry with the butternut squash.
Yep. And the butternut squash went away before I got to it.
Right.
But I do have the leftover candied yams, and I'm going to experiment with them as a roll-up breakfast thing. I got one more sheet of the Pepperidge Farm thing to play with.
Because all you're looking for, you want your protein, so that's where you're putting the eggs in.
Yep, you want a starter.
And then you get that sweet flavor. Some people like the candy yams. Some people do not.
Oh, more for me.
Right.
Yeah, because he's got marshmallows and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
so
see, and that's
really,
Thanksgiving is the marshmallow and the candy yams.
Yeah, lots of
least
marshmallows.
favorite dish of Thanksgiving.
Okay, now I'm starting to salivate.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's December. What are we going to do in December? You know, it's gardening. It's a gardening show. What do we do in December? We plan.
Well, we plan for the spring, and we take care of what's going on.
We think about it. We take care of stuff. We tidy up. We clean up our tools and put them in the corner so that when it comes time to shovel snow, they're all ready to go.
That's right.
Oops.
And so we were talking about you can service your lawnmower. These are things that you can do in December, and cover your rhubarbs and asparagus beds if you haven't already.
Yep.
And let's say that you protect tender evergreens from drying wind. And this is really important because of the wind that we have.
Yeah, because it's going to be a dry, hard wind. And so if you got any leaves that need to be raked, now's a good time to rake them up around your perennial and just let them set there.
Good point. And
for a while, anyway.
That's what I'm looking at a pear tree that I have, and it's planted on a slope. And I planted it there about 3 years ago, and I planted it wrong because I wasn't a master gardener at the time. But it has since survived. It hasn't grown much. I got a first pear off of it this year, but it is tilted about the same as the pitched slope it is on. So it is almost down to the ground, and because of the wind that's been blowing. And one of the things that I learned is that you're really not supposed to stake trees when you transplant them, because you want the roots to stabilize and grow out so that they can properly support the tree up. And when you do that with a stake, you don't get the root development that you would normally. So I've got this pear tree. It's pretty much tilted down to the ground because of the wind and the way that I planted it. I'm going to have to stake it now.
How big is it?
Oh, it's probably about
8 feet tall?
No, 5 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could actually, while it's dormant, like right now, you could go ahead and just pull it up
Yeah?
and replant it.
No, that's not an option. It's a survivor. It has to stay where it is.
Oh.
But yes, you're right. I could just dig it up and put it
just,
somewhere else.
Yeah, pull it up very gently, dig around it, and just, as you're pulling it up, just kind of shake it to shake the dirt off, because it's dormant.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And the roots are fine. And then, stand it back upright, dig a bigger hole, and then replant it more firmly.
You know what? You're right. This is exactly what I should do.
Take you 20 minutes.
I've got that voice in my head that says, but we want to experiment. It's, I can't even come to words with why I can't do that. It's like I put
That's
it
what you
there.
have me for.
Right, exactly. The voice of reason. Ray, the voice of reason.
Okay, that's not used in the same sentence
Right,
frequently.
Exactly. So with these heavy winds, and it had gotten me thinking because I had learned about the not staking thing. But you're right. Digging it up is probably the right thing to do. Not what I will probably do, because I never do the right thing.
Yeah.
But hopefully people will learn from mine.
Yeah, and their pear tree will be fine.
Right.
And yours will be too. It may have an interesting sculpt to the stem.
Right,
There
exactly.
you go.
And it'll have a nice, interesting lifespan, which
Yeah,
may be
it'll
shorter.
come up, yeah.
And
No, it'll be
we'll
fine.
see. No, it probably won't. It'll probably die. I planted 2 of them, and only one of them survived because of my inability to make the right decision at the right time, Ray.
Oh, but you got 1 out of 2. That's a 50% save rate.
That's a good. You know what? Thanks, Ray, for putting
Yeah,
statistics into view there.
Yeah, that's not bad. But yeah, it's time to make sure you got your water sprinklers covered up, because this is going to be a nasty frost with a real severe chill factor.
So I did that. I mentioned last week that I bought about 6 covers for my faucets, and I went ahead and I put it on, and I'm like, why isn't this fitting? These usually fit. And then after a minute, I realized you have to take the hose off, and then you put the cover on, and then it fits.
Yeah.
And then as I took the hose off, water came out of the hose.
That's a good thing.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now you've saved your hose. You've saved your faucet.
Yeah.
You'll be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
So that comes under the whole drain and store hoses carefully to avoid damage from freezing.
Right, and
That was on our list, actually.
Yeah, it forced me to store my hoses. But when I live on the property, it's I just leave everything where it is. But no, I did the right thing this time. What if you got chrysanthemums? You should be trimming those down. I finally got around to trimming my hyacinths,
Good.
and because they had the dead flowers that were still on there up until last week, so I trimmed it down. Still got nice green leaves on it and looking good, but trimming everything down it gets to be a chore when you have a lot of stuff.
I got my stuff all buried under
I know.
Northwest
You
Greenlands.
did it a month ago.
Oh, I went over and got a whole truckload of compost
Oh, nice.
from Northwest Greenlands, and I put it on like 6 inches deep.
Yeah.
So they're all actually. There's a couple of things that with that little warm spell we had are making new leaves.
Yes.
And I'm going.
I've noticed that too.
Yeah, grow fool.
And we'll see
You're
what
on
you're
your
like
own.
tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll see how you feel about that growth spurt, on Monday.
Monday, exactly. Yeah. So we've been cutting things back, and what are some other things that we can do here in the winter?
Well, it's kind of the last. If you're going to do a cover crop, it's kind of like the last time to do it.
Yeah. Because you're talking about the planting of like if you're going to do clover,
soybeans,
wheat.
or fava beans,
Yep.
anything like that that's a good nitrogen fixer in your garden.
Because it's just going to be too
Yeah.
cold for them to have.
Ain't nothing gonna sprout.
Do anything.
No, ain't nothing going to sprout.
Because it needs to get. We're looking for temperatures in the soil to get above 55 degrees before anything says, "Hey, yeah, I can grow in this climate," and we're not going to reach that
No.
for some time now.
No, not until after March.
Yeah. So, and I was lucky because I did my grass killing spray regimen earlier this week when we had a couple of dry days, and so hopefully that'll take.
My neighbor lady went out and trimmed her roses and took them down a knee high,
Good idea.
just like you're supposed to, so that they won't get damaged by ice or heavy snow if we get anything like that. But man, they look good.
See, and mine are still 5 feet tall, and they've got these big, thick, apple-sized rose hips on the tips of them.
Black and Decker.
Yeah. I know. I even started trimming my grapes because you're not really supposed to do it after this frost spell. Is probably the perfect time to then go after the grapes because they've had a couple of hardening spells to go after. But I couldn't resist it because when things start looking ugly, you're right, Black and Decker. You've got to get these things out of the way so that the garden looks nice again and bare.
There's some. Now's a good time though to as you're taking the firewood out of the firewood pile, make sure that you watch out for various kinds of spiders and things like that, so you don't take them into the house with you.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, bang the wood together one time, knock the little buggers off.
Because then suddenly you've got a whole bunch of spiders indoors. And I remember reading this my first year as a master gardener, reading this calendar, and we were using a wood stove. Like, wow, maybe that explains why there are so many cobwebs over near where I'm putting the firewood inside.
Well, sorry.
No.
Could be. Now's a good time to put out slug bait and stuff like that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna grab another quick little break, and then we'll get back into more things that we could be doing besides watching football.
That's right. And speaking of football, we've got the Linville football game coming up. Pregame at 9:30. That's why you're listening to us early. And for right now, we're going to cut away into a break, into the news, and then we'll come back. We got more stuff to talk about, and we might even touch on hydroponics just a bit. So for right now, you're listening to The Root of It on KLYC 1260 AM.
McMinnville, Willamina.
ABC News Now, I'm Deirdre Bryant. It's a day to shop small. On this Small Business Saturday, independently owned stores are offering special bargains. American Express started the event 4 years ago and says card holders who spend $10 or more at qualifying businesses can get $10 back up to 3 times if they register. Many small businesses in Ferguson, Missouri remain boarded up today after violent protests over the grand jury decision not to indict Officer Darren Wilson. 16 people arrested last night. Growing concern about a missing Ohio State University football player. Costa Car George hasn't been seen since early Wednesday. He's one of the seniors to be honored at today's game against Michigan. A British government study finds as many as 13,000 people in the UK are victims of modern slavery, 4 times the previous estimate. It includes women forced into prostitution, domestic workers and laborers on farms, factories, and fishing boats, many brought in by traffickers. This is ABC News.
TrueCar is changing car buying forever. Hi, it's Leah. TrueCar helps car buyers get rid of the fear that they might overpay. Just in the first 6 months of this year, over 275,000 cars were sold by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. And TrueCar users save an average of $3,221 off MSRP. When you're ready to buy a car, just follow 3 easy steps. First, go to TrueCar.com and find out what others paid for the car you want. Then, register to see upfront pricing information and lock in your savings. Third step, simple. Just print out your savings certificate and take it to the TrueCar Certified Dealer for a better, hassle-free car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. To see how much you can save on the car you want, simply download the TrueCar mobile app or visit TrueCar.com today. That's TrueCar.com.
For a lawn worthy of the spotlight, you need a mower worthy of the same. Try Kubota's Commander Z100 Series zero-turn mowers. These high-output, gas-powered machines are cutting-edge and commercial-grade. Demanding attention with brilliant LED headlights, 5-inch deep mower decks, and commercial Hydra gear transmissions, Kubota puts professional results at your fingertips. Get exceptional savings on all Kubota Commanders during the Gear Up and Go sales event with 0 down and 0% APR financing for up to 48 months. Command the spotlight during the Gear Up and Go sales event right now at your local Kubota.com. 0 down, 0% APR financing for terms up to 48 months on Z100 Commander models now through 12/31/14. Financing is available through Kubota Credit Corporation, USA, subject to credit approval. Other conditions may apply. Offer expires 12/31/14. For more information, call toll-free 1-888-465-8268.
Want a t-shirt designed and screen printed locally? Our choice is Devo's Custom Screen Printing in McMinnville. Devo's is the official tie-dyed t-shirt printer for KLYC Radio, and we highly recommend their work. If you want to work with a t-shirt designer who will work with you to get the right design for your organization, it's Devo's Custom Screen Printing. Located south of the Transit Transfer Station in McMinnville, but make sure you go behind the building for Devo's Custom Screen Printing. Call 503-857-2396. 857-2396. Say you heard about it on KLYC Radio. Devo's Custom Screen Printing, McMinnville.
And good morning. You are back, and you're tuned to the Root of It right here on KLYC. 12:60 a.m. Ray, hi. You had to take that last bite before we came on the air, Con. You couldn't
Yep. No, I'm good. I'm good.
It's 9:08. It's 39 degrees here in McMinnville, and we were talking about food, and I hope you were enjoying that because it was really great, and we got to talking about Thanksgiving again and how I enjoyed one of the best briskets I've ever had.
Ooh, yum.
Oh, man, it's enjoyable. And the turkey was splayed out and cooked in 2 hours. So many new techniques going on.
I bet that was yummy.
It was delicious.
Have you heard about the one where you turn the turkey upside down to start?
No.
And there's actual, you turn it upside down so that you cook it bottom side up for the first hour.
Yeah. And then you flop it.
And then you turn it over. And what it does is it allows all the juices in the bird to go into the white meat.
Well, what it really does, and I've heard this kind of technique, but what it really does is it allows you to get a more of an even cook because the stuff that's on the bottom isn't getting cooked as fast as the stuff that's on the top because that's where all the hot air is. So if you expose the bottom, which is has most of the meat in it, and you expose that longer at the beginning of the period, and then you put that down at the bottom, and then you get more of an even cook to it. I can see that too, but and it's just really funny how people get involved in, oh, no, this is a great technique. You do it this way, you do it this way. And there are just 100 different ways to get a bird in your belly.
Yeah. I've never really got into that hot oil boil because
I haven't done it. Haven't seen it done.
A lot of people lose porches doing that.
Yeah, and that's that is what happens. And I don't know about the technique that's involved in it.
Whole corner of the garage.
But what it really does is it engages your curiosity mechanism into wow, because we all want to do stupid things like that. Like, oh, of course, put a bird in a boiling oil bath. Yes.
Yeah.
25 pounds. Do it. Can we? Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. 25-pound frozen bird, watch it explode, small nuclear waste.
And then the further down you get to the people that are trying it afterwards, then you get the lower intelligence level, and then things go wrong. Systems aren't fault.
Yeah.
And but yes, they're definitely. I want to slow cook a turkey. I want to take 16 hours to cook the bird or something like some technique. Have you ever heard of sous vide?
No.
Okay, good, because you've been to France. No, it's a new technique, or fairly new. So what you do is you get a water tank, and you take the food that you're going to cook. You seal it in a plastic bag, vacuum sealed, and so you then have this heat regulating device that you put into the bath of water, and it gets the water cooked up to the right temperature. So let's say you're doing ribs and you want it to be at 150 degrees. So then you can put this plastic bag of ribs in this water that is kept at exactly 150 degrees for however long you want.
Huh.
And so in the end, what you get is this meat that's been cooking in its own juices for however long you want.
Ooh, yum.
And you're not getting it dried out. You're not getting any of these other detractors. So, and it's really nice. And we were talking about cooking ways.
Yeah.
And I would like to do a turkey like that. If you have this big tub of water and then you put a turkey in a big plastic bag and you get the temperature just right for a long time, that would be interesting.
It works for shrimp boil.
Right, exactly. It works for a lot of things is what it works for. So anyway,
Okay, back to gardening.
let's talk about gardening because food is no longer on my mind. I have two of these stuffing concoctions that you made in my belly. So
Oh, I'm much better now.
right.
Yeah.
So what we were talking about is things that you can do in the garden
Yep,
during
yep.
the winter because those are important things. Were you ready to get into pest monitoring and management?
Yeah, and we touched on that with the woodpile thing.
Right.
If you find that you have an infestation of carpenter ants because they went to your house to live, and they will do that. They will search out any place where they can survive. That's what nature does. You want to be sure and burn that wood first. Don't take it in and put it in the wood box.
Don't let them hibernate.
No,
over,
don't take them in
overwinter.
for dinner.
Right.
No,
Because
no.
they will end up in that little corner where the crumbs are. They will
will
find
find
a
it.
hole to go into and
And then you'll have no, don't do that.
don't do it.
Go ahead and fry them first.
Right.
Or use that wood particularly quickly to keep the insect infestation from getting into your house and your houseplants. If you have houseplants, you want to keep things like whitefly and spider mites and things like that. We'll find some place to winter over if they can.
You know what's found its way to winter over in my house are house flies, just regular house flies. And I haven't had any problems with house flies usually in the past, which is odd because I live on a farm. But they have come in and there's no getting rid of them. Like I can get 3 of them, 4 of them a day, and then suddenly there are 8 the next day, and then I can get them. It's just dwindling. I'm waiting for them to go to sleep.
Yeah, you don't want them to have a date overnight.
No, and I think they have been.
Uh-oh.
And there are so many places for them to hide. But yeah, my pest right now is just the common housefly. I was wondering if you had any housefly sightings.
Well, what we have, and it was purely by mistake of leaving a banana on the counter, and we haven't been able to get rid of the fruit flies keep reinventing themselves.
Yeah, they have a way
And
of
I've-
multiplying every 12 hours, every 24
treated
hours.
them pretty harshly, and wiped counters and endlessly, and the wife keeps telling me I need to wipe the counters again.
It's not the counters necessarily. It could easily be the drains, the sink drains. You get the gunk that's in there, and then underneath.
Maybe I should bleach them.
Yeah, and they just go everywhere, Ray.
Because I did underneath the counter, around the sink, around the garbage can underneath the sink, and took the garbage can out and sterilized it.
Did you do under your fingernails?
Several times.
because perhaps they may be.
No. They ain't under my fingernails.
Nice.
But they ain't under my sink either.
Yeah.
But they keep cropping up, and you see like 1 or 2, and if you got 1 or 2, them suckers, one's going to be a boy and one's going to be a girl, sure as heck.
So what you need to do is you need to drop the house temperature down to about 50 degrees, and then for about a week, and then you won't have that problem anymore.
Oh yeah,
Because that's the point where I am right now. If I can't get these house flies to just go away, because
Slow 'em
they're
down?
Yeah, then they'll go hide. They'll go find that spot to hang out in the attic and then come out in winter. But right now they're just like, ooh, I love this temperate climate that we're still. Isn't this a longer winter than last?
yeah,
Or longer summer? Or, whatever.
yeah. I don't know.
So what else do we got out there? The moss. I like talking
Yeah.
about moss, and the reason is if you've got moss appearing right now, it's probably because you've got the poor drainage going on. You
Right.
might want to
Well,
treat that.
we're stuck with it for right now.
But in my terrariums that I built, I put down the nice little moss that I collected from a local park. And right now, the side, I have it kind of, let's say, in a corner. So it's only really getting sun on this terrarium, light from the ceiling on one side. And so I went ahead and I turned it around today, and really half of it is completely snow white with fungus and mold, as opposed to the other one, which is nice and green and fluffy.
Interesting contrast.
Yes, and completely unexpected. But I guess what I should have done is put a little bit of a turning of the terrarium because it's in a circular vase, and I guess sun is important to moss as well.
What would happen if you put a piece of tinfoil on that side and gave it reflected light?
Well, then that would probably make my wall look like it has tinfoil on it.
Okay, never mind.
Or the vase itself. No, what I really poor placement. We talked about it last week with the house plants, and that's exactly what happened. It was poor placement of the plant, and I just didn't expect it. There's a perfect half line of where this white, and it really is. It's completely white, and it's all mushy, and which means I'm going to have to stick my hand into a hole that's barely big enough for my hand to fit and grab something that is unappealing.
Have you considered salad tongs?
You did this to me before, and you're right. Salad tongs.
Yeah, them suckers are in that big thingy by the side of the stove.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the ones with the black handles.
Yes, exactly.
Look like big scissors.
You know what? You just reminded me that I need to get new tongs. I've got a 2-year-old boy that has misplaced our tongs, and that was about 3 months ago, and I haven't had a call for tongs in that long. It's weird.
Oh,
thanks though. No, I'm sorry. Just mental break.
Yeah, well, go past Roth's.
Yeah.
And pick them up for like $3.
Sure, I'll go do something like that.
Yeah.
But you're right. Instead of using my hand to get this mushy fungus out, you just use some tongs. Good point.
Okay, but anyway, one other thing you can start doing now that's kind of fun if the kids are bored is you can start a windowsill garden.
Yeah.
And start growing some chives and some parsley. They all grow fine if they get any kind of light.
Yeah, they're perfect for growing things like that. And it is a good time to get those kids involved in the gardening, too, before they forget that a garden exists, right?
It's also a good time to, start some bare root trees.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're dormant anyway. So, well, like your pear tree.
Right. Well, and we're going to probably start to see those sales pop up as soon as
right
the
after
holidays.
the first of the year,
Right.
Yeah. So pick your spot where you want to put the little devil.
And when we talk about bare root trees, we actually there are the sale of these trees. They are in sawdust, and then they just give you this tree with the bare roots. It's just there. And I've had a few successful endeavors with that, but it just seems counterintuitive. You want to see your plant in soil, whereas.
Well, after the first of the year, you'll start seeing fundraisers all over town.
Exactly.
School, PTAs, Granges, any place, and they'll be advertising bare root trees and shrubs. And that's why they do it in January and February, because they are dormant. You don't have to do anything except...
These trees are in a stasis of which you can't necessarily mess them up by digging them up and taking them away from soil, because they're not intaking it. Necessarily?
No, all you're doing is protecting the roots from damage with the sawdust, or you can actually just a damp burlap bag is enough to protect them and keep them going, and then you take them home, and then before you put them in the ground, you give them like an overnight soaking to kind of wake up the roots, and so that when the roots get in the dirt, they don't go, hey, what's this?
Right, exactly.
Anyway, we're going to take another quick little break. This is Ray and Kyle with To the Root of It.
And we are talking about things that you need to do in the garden during the winter. We got 10 minutes left in the show this week because at 9:30 we send things down to Benton, Texas for the Linfield football game. They're in the playoffs, and so we'll go down there for a pre-game show. The game starting at 10.
Yeah.
So
pre-game starts at 9:30.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Pre-game at 9:30, game at 10. So right now we'll take our last break. For right now, you're listening to The Root of It here on KLYC 1260 AM.
There is no place like home for the holidays. Whether you grew up here or are just passing through, find yourself at home in Newburgh for an evening. Enjoy the Valley Repertory Theater's production of Old Little Town, Stories of Newburgh. It's 3 true stories of Newburgh residents with original music in this Christmas presentation. From the lighthearted to the poignant, there is something for the entire family as we celebrate this Christmas story. The show runs for 3 weekends from December 5th through the 21st. Shows are Friday and Saturday nights at 7:30 and 2 p.m. matinees Saturday and Sunday. Check out the website at valleyrep.org. Oh, little town, stories of Newburgh. Don't miss it. To the Root of It on AM 1260 KLYC is brought to you by Recology's Northwest Greenland in McMinnville. You know, it takes more than a pile of decomposing yard debris and leaves to make your soil healthy and your plants happy. That's why Recology actively manages their compost to ensure the highest level of microbial activity. The rich soil amendments promote healthy plant life in your vineyard, your nursery, your yard, and your garden. Recology's compost, which is certified for organic growing, can enhance overall soil quality, provide plants with nutrients they need to grow larger and healthier, minimize the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides, increase your soil's ability to hold moisture and retain nutrients, feed helpful earthworms, create a buffer for your plants against common toxins in the soil, and control pH levels and support essential bacterial growth. It's more than just compost. It's food for your soil. Northwest Greenland's a Recology company. In McMinnville at 2200 Northeast Orchard Avenue. Call Recology Northwest Greenland's at 503-434-1671. 503-434-1671. Recology Northwest Greenland's a proud sponsor of To the Root of It on KLYC. Online Northwest is your gateway to the planet. Online Northwest is Yamhill County's only locally owned and operated internet and phone service provider. Online Northwest, downtown McMinnville, has been providing local friendly service and support since 1997. Residential and business services include high-speed internet, phone, fiber solutions, web design and hosting, co-location, television, and much more. Online Northwest coverage areas include parts of Washington, Yamhill, Polk, Marion, and Tillamook counties. Call Online Northwest at 503-883-9200 or visit them at onlinenw.com for more information. Online Northwest is the internet and phone service provider for KLYC Radio.
And we are back. We are talking about gardens. This is To the Root of It. In about 5 minutes, we're going to send things down to Benton, Texas. But for right now, we've got a little teaser. We've been hinting about it because we've been talking about things to do in the winter. And this is kind of a houseplant thing. And
Can be.
It's relatively, it's catching on right now. It's going to be a new phenomenon. A new phenomenon. Hydroponics.
Hydroponics.
And this is where you use not necessarily a soil medium, but something where you're more concentrating on water as the fertilizer medium and recycling the water itself.
There's several people in the area that do hydroponic gardening and grow like cut flowers out in Dayton and things like that, and very successfully.
Mm-hmm. It's hydroponics is used on a commercial scale. Tomatoes that you get in your grocery store more than likely are coming from hydroponic means.
Yeah, that's one thing I did notice in France was giant greenhouses, like hundreds of yards long, and they were literally just big hydroponic farms.
And so what is it? It's growing plants with nutrients and water and without a soil. So water must be delivered to the plant root system, so through a means of irrigation somehow. And then the root system must hang directly in the nutrient solution and be misted by it or enclosed within a container. And that's what some of these things that I've seen, you've got these nice big white hairy roots that are just exposed to the daylight. I mean, you can sometimes see them. Usually, though, they're in a nice little tank where they're dark because roots do not like the light. But all it is roots. And then you've got these misters that'll spray every hour, every 2 hours, because you can't have dry roots, so you've got to keep the roots at a minimum. And then the nutrients that they use, it's just a light solution, not necessarily something that you would put in your soil medium, because it's hitting the roots directly and often.
It creates a little fog around the roots, and the roots absorb it just fine. It's an excellent water conservation method. You'd think if you're growing it in a medium of this type, that you would use more water, but you don't.
Right, because in a soil, you're losing it to evaporation.
Right.
And whereas with this, it's all right in there and contained.
Fairly enclosed system.
Right.
And very, very effective, very efficient. Except that you do have to have the space to do it.
Because some of these water tanks can get rather large. Some of these tanks to hold the plants in can get really large. But for the most part, what you're probably looking at is a healthy sized, let's say aquarium-sized tank that's a 4x2 maybe space.
Well, when we get the day we actually do this, there's a system that involves raising fish.
Yes.
So you have a 4x4 fish tank, and you have a 4x4 garden bed, and you have a little aquarium pump that pumps the water from the fish tank up into the growing medium, and then as it filters through the growing medium and goes back into the fish tank, it stays an entire... And you could do this in your basement, for crying out loud.
And what's really interesting about that is because it does seem like, well, why would I have a fish swimming in poisonous fertilizing chemicals?
No.
But you're not, because...
Your fertilizer is the fish poo.
Right, exactly. And the leftover fish food that you're feeding them.
Right.
And then, the stuff that's getting into the water, bacteria and all of these things that are dying.
Right.
You're creating a good water. You're creating pond water. So as long as you don't get the pH level too low, it's awesome for growing.
The fish clean the water as they poo in it, or the fish the fish poo in the water. The water goes through the garden. The garden cleans the water to go back to the fish tank.
Yep.
It's an amazing system.
Yeah. It is the circle of life. Thank
It
you,
is.
Dave.
But you can do these like in small scales in your garage.
Yes. As long as it's heated.
Well, yeah.
Right now. Yeah, right now. Because the reason we were bringing this up is something that you can do indoors. Usually, if you're doing this indoors, you're going to have some sort of artificial light also added to it. And that's where the energy can come in, because some of these bulbs can range from 75 watts to 600 to 1,000. It just depends on how much food and how big your garden is. But usually you're going to need some sort of artificial light introduced. And we have 30 seconds before we are going to go out to Linfield. And you know why I brought up this hydroponics is because next week we're going to do demonstrations on it.
Yep, absolutely. So anyway, go Linfield Wildcats.
That's right. You've been listening to The Root of It right here on KLYC. This was an early version. Right now we're going to head down to Benton, Texas for the Linfield playoff game. And that is actually...
Keep your tools sharp.
Thanks.
The following is
KLYC McMinnville.
Welcome to the 2014 NCAA Division III National Football Playoffs. Now, let's join the voice of the six-time Northwest Conference champion Linfield Wildcats, Bill Johnson.
Absolutely a beautiful sunny afternoon in central Texas. Probably just the opposite of